Islamabad Marathon, or Karachi's club runs with the Islamabad club, or Lahore's club.
Maybe in a couple of years we'll be there. Like there are robust running clubs in Islamabad and Lahore and in Karachi.
We just gave community, we gave a platform, we gave support, we gave structure to when to come run, how much to run, and that's it.
I think in my Ironman in Muscat, my average probably was 36
That's
or so,
amazing.
36,
Wow.
37. Yeah.
How old are you?
21.
You're 21. You're the youngest one I've met who's doing 21. And what days of the week do you run?
Every day except Wednesday and Friday.
Having communities around active living actually is good for all of the individual sports.
On Chai Faisal, I was hit by a car.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a pretty bad accident. Adnan was there with me. There were about 9 or 10 of us in a peloton.
How to think about what to eat, how to think about what kind of exercises to do.
Well, Coach Faisal made me start eating eggs. I wasn't eating eggs.
Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Karachi Marathon series. इस तीसरे episode में हम बात करेंगे I think what is the most important part of anyone's running journey. It is the community aspect of it. हमने पहले तो बात की थी कि भाई किस वजह से लोग भागना शुरू करते हैं, क्या इंस्पिरेशन, क्या मोटिवेशन चाहिए होती है उनको. सेकेंड एपिसोड में आपने देखा होगा कि हमने बात की थी ट्रेनिंग के हवाले से, नॉट जस्ट कि न्यूट्रिशन क्या होनी चाहिए या एक्सरसाइज क्या होनी चाहिए, पर आपकी जो मेंटल स्ट्रेंथ है ड्यूरिंग द रन, आप उसको किस तरह डेवलप करते हैं, उसको किस तरह से challenges को overcome करते हैं. Now, I think the third episode we're going to talk about is the community that builds as you're embarking on this journey. How that community impacts your life, not just your individual life, your family life, and how that community helps you do more as a person. And we're going to have this conversation with the three people in the room who I'll have quickly introduce themselves. One is the pioneer of the first running community himself, Adnan Gandhi, and we'll start with him. Adnan, how are you today?
Hey, how are you? Hold up.
So you are the pioneer of the SVRC community. You started this community. I think you've been running for years.
Very flattering. I started running here. So Adnan Gandhi helped found its CB Running Club, involved with the gym community as well. Basically, I moved here from the US, didn't know Seoul, thought let's do something that I'm used to. So I signed up for the 2015 Dubai Marathon.
That was your first?
That was the first ever. And I didn't know anybody. I was running around Zamzam Park, 30 loops, 20 loops. I had to put a driver on one side and a chowkidar on the other side, and we just give me water whenever I asked for it. That was it. That morphed into a friend of yours, Bilal Munir, right? So myself, Bilal, Usman Iqbal, we helped found, we sort of basically left Zamzam Park and moved to CB.
Got it. And
So
you
we said,
needed
you
a
know what, So after I got done in 2015, I said, I cannot do this again. So when we signed up for the 2017 Dubai Marathon, we decided we have to run on the roads because races are on the road. That's how it started. There was 3 of us, then there were 4 of us. The marathons grew, the people grew, Ali Khurshid joined, then became 3 or 4 people. It was only ever 4 or 5 people. It was during
COVID.
COVID is when it exponentially grew up, right? And that happens everywhere. Biking, running, it happened all over the world.
The Ironman communities as well.
Yeah, so partly how I know the superstar to the left of me is he was in the biking community. So, you have triathlon kind of matches
Right.
both, you have to train for both disciplines. So what you saw in 2019, 20, especially 21, was the growth on both sides. So the people that were avid bikers were thinking, let's run a bit more. The runners thought, let's bike a little bit more. So there was an exponential growth, nothing I did, that we just gave community, we gave a platform, we gave support, we gave structure to when to come run, how much to run, and that's it. Right?
Got it.
And that's how it grew.
And that's
The
how
difference between what we tried to do with CB Running Club was pick a race, train for the race. That was the only thing we kind of unofficially said was, so how I know McDowd, Dubai half Ironman. Okay, we have a date, we're going to train towards the date. So what we've always tried to do, even with you, right? Try to say, okay, look, it's great to come out and run your 10K, run your 5K, get fitter, get
have a
stronger.
goal.
have a goal,
Hmm.
right? Have a
And that's, I think, the biggest thing that you guys did with Seaview is that you actually pushed everyone to have a goal.
Exactly, that's it, right?
Right.
And finishing is it.
Right.
Show up, finish it. So our motto is train here, race anywhere.
Right.
We didn't want anyone to make excuses because I'm in Karachi. Or
Right.
No, just we will help you train to the best of what's around us.
Right.
We'll provide the support in the community,
Right.
and we'll grow from there.
Got it. And next to you is Amal Habib. How are you?
I'm good.
And so you recently got into running.
Yeah, I started in August with the Seaview Runners.
You joined in August with Seaview Runners.
Yeah, August.
So what made you join the running community?
Because of Abba's friend Shoaib Malik.
Okay. And how, and so because your father knew Shoaib Malik, you felt कि मुझे running शुरू कर, and you exercise कोई कर रही थी before? Yeah, you were not doing any exercise.
I used to run in 2021 and then
Okay.
I took a break.
And then you took a break,
Yeah.
and then you came back.
Yeah.
And did you focus on a specific target कि मुझे ये run करना है, या मुझे ये distance complete करना है, या ये race में participate करना है?
No, we just joined Coach Faisal. He gave us a schedule and we
Okay.
follow it.
And you follow it.
Yeah.
And you run with a group of people?
Yeah, Ali Hassan,
Okay.
Dania,
Okay.
Hina Malik, and
Okay.
Reena.
And you run, what days of the week do you run?
Every day except Wednesday and Friday.
At what time?
6 in the morning.
6 in the morning every day.
Yeah.
And you go to college?
Yeah, I go to Zabis
Right. And
3
so-
times a week.
3 times a week. But you run 6 days a week.
Yeah.
That's amazing. So I'll come back to you because I want to understand what this has done for you. Such a disciplined life for a college student. I think you're the only college student I know who wakes up at 6 a.m. and runs such a disciplined life. And then we have Migdad.
Yeah.
How are you?
Good, doing well. Nice to be here. Thanks
Great,
for
I'm
having
glad
me.
you're here. I would remember when I was running with you guys, you would always be out in the front. The first runner, the fastest runner. Him and Ayaz would run together.
Start racing with him. He's even more fronter.
No way. I'd be a backbencher back there. So, Migdad, when did you get into running? You said you were into cycling before.
Yeah, so I started in triathlon about 2017. One of
You
my
started
friends,
with the triathlon.
I started with triathlon, yeah. One of my friends had signed up for a triathlon, and about a month before the race, I just joined them at the beach, and they said, okay, why don't you try to swim with us? So I tried to swim, and I was like, okay, I can kind of keep up. So let's try the other thing. So I tried cycling. I was able to keep up with them kind of. And then I tried running, and I was like, okay, I can do this too. So let's try it. And so I signed up for the sprint triathlon in Abu Dhabi in 2017. And there was no looking back after that. I just really fell in love with all of it. I mainly started focusing on cycling. That was you started.
So sorry, before you go on, triathlon, the
Yeah.
distances between running, swimming, and cycling.
Yeah, it starts out with swimming, then it's biking, and then it's running.
And what is the distance for swimming?
So it depends on the type of triathlon you do. So I started out with a sprint triathlon, and that was about 750 meters
Swim?
and then I believe it was a 20K bike and a 5K run.
Okay, that's very manageable.
And then you can go all the way up to, well, the distances are
The Ironman.
never ending, but the Ironman that I've done, the 70.3,
Right.
that's a 1.9 kilometer swim, 90 kilometer bike, and a 21 kilometer run at the end.
Wow. So 1.9K swim,
Yeah.
half a marathon,
Yeah,
And,
90K on the bike.
and 90 kilometers on
Yeah,
the bike.
and that's a half marathon. So
And that's a half
yeah,
Ironman.
I've said half Ironman, which is what I've done.
So a
But-
full Ironman is when you
Yes.
run a full marathon.
yeah, at the end. Yeah,
At the end, you run, you bike
180 kilometers.
180 kilometers,
Yeah,
and you're.
3.8 kilometers swim.
I don't understand these people. What
One
are-
brother is 160 kilometers.
So
Think
basically,
of it that way.
so that means you have first. Okay,
You
let me
first swim
visualize
for
this.
4
So
hours.
you wake up early morning. It's
You
dark
swam,
outside.
So you swam from McDonald's Seaview, probably all the way to Emar. No, Emar. That's about 4 kilometers, right? Then after you got out at Emar, you ran from Emar to airport and back.
No, then you
no,
bike
then you bike.
to Hyderabad.
Yeah.
Then you went to
And that
Hyderabad.
wasn't
Yeah.
enough.
Yeah.
It was probably Nipur House, right?
And then you ran to Mirpur Khas.
then yeah.
Oh. It's the next level stuff.
Incredible stuff. I haven't done the full, but I've
Right.
done the half.
But you've done the
twice.
half.
Yeah.
And then you
So-
settled for marathons.
Well, actually, what happened was I was really into cycling. I love cycling. There's a huge
Right.
community aspect to that as well. I used to bike with TGIF, which was one of the faster sort of biking communities in Karachi.
Oh, so there's graded communities also now.
But I mean, yeah, I guess I guess
It's
there
called
are.
TGIF.
Yeah, TGIF. They started out with their fast rides, right? So
Yeah.
it's TGIF. I guess thank God it's fast.
Yeah.
perhaps.
Oh, thank God it's fast.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
And what's the average speed for someone riding in TGIF?
Well, plus 30 kilometers an
So
hour.
it's plus 30.
Plus 30 on, yeah. If you're on Shari Faisal, then you might be 37, 38.
Oh, wow.
You
That's
might hit
fast.
50 during the ride,
Yeah,
50,
yeah,
60.
yeah.
You
The
know,
fastest average I've ever done is 29. Like that's
So I think in my Ironman in Muscat, my average probably was 36
That's
or so,
amazing.
36,
Wow.
37, yeah. But anyway,
so you
I
were already.
focused-
So what I'm trying to
I was
understand is
really into
you were already
triathlon. I
part of a
enjoyed all it.
community thing. You
Yeah.
were already into the workout spirit. You were
Yeah,
already you
yeah.
got that sense before you
But
joined
then
the marathon.
I had a bit of a setback. So in 2022, after the Ironman in Muscat, I was training for the Karachi Duathlon, which was a race that I had won in 2021. So I was training for it in 2022, 2 weeks after the Ironman, and on Shari Faisal, I was hit by a car.
Oh my goodness.
So it was a pretty bad accident. And Nan was there with me. There were about 9 or 10 of us in a peloton. Me and one other person was leading the pack, and a guy was speeding down the road. He lost control of his car, and I think it spun out, and he hit me and 2 other people.
Right.
And unfortunately, when I landed, I fractured my spine.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
So I was in a back brace for about 3-4 months. Couldn't get out of bed without wearing this brace. There was no surgery, luckily. But after that, it was all about sort of recovery
Right.
and then managing, the fear, not perhaps from myself, but the family being a
Right.
bit concerned about me cycling. Especially on Shari Faisal and in areas where there's high traffic. And so I've sort of moved away from cycling, and I thought, okay, might as well focus on
Right.
running. I hadn't run a marathon up to that point. I had run a half marathon,
Right.
but I had never done the marathon distance. So I thought, might as well try that out. And I guess it was last year in September, I signed up for Berlin along with, I don't know how many, there must have been 15 or 20 of us from SBR.
So Berlin that you're talking about
Right.
epitomizes what community is.
Right.
We took 24 people just from CV Running Club.
And there were a total of about like 50 or 55
Wow.
people from the Pakistan community in general.
So Pakistan
Yeah.
representation was about 50
Plus
people.
50
Wow.
I've done a lot of races. I have not seen that. That's just, it's unheard of.
It was
So-
incredible. It started out with 2 people getting
Yeah.
into the ballot, and then one by one people were like, okay, I'll join in. And that's the huge thing about community. Having people to run with, having people to train with, they draw you in, right?
Right.
And they give you a reason to get out there every day.
Yeah.
And so once people started joining in, it snowballed
Mushroomed.
into this huge thing. And so that was my first marathon. And since then, I've now run 3. So I ran London
Right.
in April and Chicago in October.
Wow.
So yeah.
So if we talk about community, I want to ask Amal, but you recently joined. You're sitting between 2 pro runners. You recently joined. What is the longest distance you have run so far?
Today I ran 18 kilometers.
You ran 18 today.
Yeah.
Wow. How did it feel? That was your first time?
Yeah, first time.
And how did it feel running 18?
I got tired in the middle, but I continued.
And when you finished,
I was very tired, but I felt good.
you felt good? Were your parents close by?
My dad was running with me. We finished together.
Oh, you'd finished together. So it was a good bonding moment for a father and a daughter.
Yeah.
And what about running with people, right? How does that make you feel? Because running is difficult.
It's easier to run with people because they keep a better pace.
They will keep pace with you.
Yeah.
And when you run with people, does it help with your thoughts? Do you have different thoughts when you're running?
Not really.
Your mind is free and clear. Do you listen to music when you run?
No, I run without anything.
You run without anything. Nice. And so you run with a group.
Yeah.
Interesting. And do you think that running with a group makes it easier than if you run on your own?
Yeah, then my pace is better.
Your
I
pace is
run-
better with the group?
Yeah.
Why is that? Because you're
They
trying...
run faster, so I keep up with them.
Okay. What was your pace today?
8:46
Very good. Wow, that's pretty good. And you just started like 3 months ago.
in August.
In August. Amazing. Are you running the Karachi Marathon?
Yeah, half.
You're going to run a half?
Yeah.
That will be your first half.
Yeah, first.
And then you're going to go for a full.
Maybe next year.
Maybe next year. Amazing. And so it's great to see what communities do. I mean, this is Amal's first time come
Well,
out.
we've actually seen Amal, I believe you've attended other races as well, right? The shorter distance ones.
Yeah, I do the 5K.
You do the 5K.
So this is the thing, right? So if you look at what's happened post, even 2016, right?
Right.
SUP, all these, let's just call them events, let's not call them races, right?
Right.
All these events have gathered pace,
Right.
people feel safer, like, oh, next year I'll come, but next time maybe I'll bring my kids, maybe I'll bring my husband, maybe I'll bring my wife. So we've seen that growth happening across all mediums.
Right.
This year, we were just supposed to put the Special Olympics race in Lahore in November. Didn't happen because of the fog situation.
Right.
So I mean, I know her father.
Right.
I've seen her at nearly all our events.
Right.
But so that is, I think that also does that give you a bit more confidence that you can do this big distance, that you've been to these other events, or is it the training?
I think the training is,
It's the training.
yeah.
But the race isn't intimidating for you, right?
No.
See, that's what happens a lot, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times people find the event intimidating in itself,
Yeah.
right? They won't attempt a Boston or a Dubai
Yeah.
or a Muscat.
Yeah.
Like, so Miguel and I went to the Dubai Half Ironman. Even that was huge. 2020
Yeah.
was beastie slow.
Yeah, I think it was about 20 people.
20 people.
20
From Pakistan.
From,
Yeah.
from Pakistan.
Imagine, did that.
Right.
Everything else was big. Muscat,
Yeah.
3 of us.
Right.
And one was just like, okay, what else am I going to do?
Yeah.
2 of us, right? So it doesn't always work that way.
Right.
Sometimes the
Yeah.
event itself
Yeah.
is very intimidating. So it's really encouraging for someone like me, especially to hear, there are young runners out there
Yeah.
who aren't intimidated by the event anymore.
Yeah.
They go to the event and they realize like this is good.
Yeah.
I think one of the
Option.
big things is that seeing other people being able to complete things, right?
Yeah.
That, okay, so someone who's like me is able to go and run a certain distance.
Yeah.
That gives you a little bit of a push that, okay, maybe I can do it.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that we talk about a lot, that these distances, these races, they're not hard. You can get there. You just have to start. You have
You
to
just
start
have to
somewhere.
start.
You start with a jog, you start with a run walk, you
Yeah.
start somewhere and you'll make it. You
Yeah.
can make it anywhere once you put in some time.
Yeah.
But it's not, people think it's impossible. It is not, it's nowhere near impossible.
Right.
This is just a question of getting into it. And the events that we have, the fact that you can start with a 1 kilometer walk or a 5K run or a 10K run. You can start from small and you can just build yourself up. And just getting out there, I think that's what's happened. People have gotten out there once. They saw, okay, this was doable. Maybe next time I'll try for something a little bit longer or something a little bit harder. And they make it forward. It's
Interesting.
yeah.
So you started, I want to come back to a little bit of this clubs, and I want to compare your running clubs to, let's say, the cycling clubs, which have been around for a while. So you started the Seaview Running Club, right? It was a congregation of people that came in just because you didn't want to run inside the park. You just said, "Yeah, chalo Seaview pe bhagte hain." How many running clubs are there today?
Oh wow. So I think
In Karachi only.
in Karachi, I would say 6 to 7.
And nationally, would you know how many there are?
Close to maybe under 20, but definitely in the teens.
Wow.
Yeah, in the teens.
So now let's forget nationally for a second. Let's take a look at Karachi. What is the difference between each of why are there 6 or 7 running clubs? What creates a reason for different clubs to have offshoots?
That's it.
Sounds like in cycling it's about speed. Is it the same thing in running?
Well, it could be speed. It could also be proximity to where you live.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the big things. Geography
Right.
determines who you run with.
Right.
Yeah.
That's true. So in
So
running,
we have a very close relationship with a group called Wednesday Night Pacers. Wednesday Night Pacers, a lot of these guys live in the KD area, they run in Hill Park. We meet at races. Dubai 2020, Half Ironman, those two clubs were there. Berlin last year, those two clubs were there. Even now, these boys went to Chicago, New York, Istanbul, but they maybe can't run in the mornings, they run in the evenings only, right? So sometimes that happens. I've run with them a few times. If I'm in that area and I can't make it back in time, I'll give one of their members a call, I'll join them.
yeah,
Happened to be this morning, they were there. They don't traditionally run Saturday mornings, but in training for next Saturday, we have a race.
Mhm.
They were training there today. So often it's not just a case of they are different. It suits a certain
so
geography.
so for example, they run at night.
I'm just saying,
Yeah.
I'm just putting it out there, right? There are other clubs that traditionally, there's another very big club over here, right, Born to Run. These guys traditionally run evenings in parks in Karachi,
Okay.
right? So where you might have, you just had Sadiq and Sadiq runs evenings.
Right.
He has a very tough schedule. He can't always run in the mornings.
Right.
Traditionally, and he'll knock out 100 kilometers a week
Right.
in a park.
So even within the same club, you
Mm.
might have people running at different times.
Exactly.
It doesn't, just because we're in SVRC doesn't mean that we always run together, but
Yeah.
you know that any time of the day,
Yeah.
if you want someone to run with, you've got a whole community you can reach out to.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that's
Interesting.
where the club dynamics comes in, right?
So it's
Where-
proximity, it's time of day,
Yeah.
it's just sort of also outcomes. Maybe people have different outcomes or ambitions for
Some
running.
clubs don't train for races. It's that very simple.
Oh, some clubs
Some
don't.
clubs don't. Some clubs are like, no, we're a 5K, 10K club. We want to get better on the 10K. We're good to go. We want to get people that are starters.
Mm.
You know, gyms work the same.
Mm.
Even your studios work the same. Not every studio is catered to the intermediates, and it's for the expert, right? So same thing works here. So for instance, what she's attempting, it's a half marathon.
Mm.
We would want her to be in a club
Mm.
that has other people attempting a half marathon.
Mm.
So now, forget who I'm affiliated with. By default, she may only be able to run with certain clubs. So that is something that's different to I want to run. I want to run and I want to prepare for a race are two different things. Very different things, right? So
Got it. Two
that's
completely
where,
different objectives.
yeah, so that's where, when it comes to clubs, whenever someone comes to me and says, okay, you know, I'm moving from 20 minutes on the treadmill to outside, I actually tell them, you're probably better off not coming to run with us. Because you're going to show up on a Saturday, we're going to run for 2 hours, and you're going to be by yourself for 1 hour and 58 minutes. And you're going to think, why did I bother showing up? So it's more about there are different clubs with, and you know, we all get along. There's different things they do. And that's what's been good. The maturity of the community and the sport has allowed each club to become a specialist in what one thing they do or two things they do.
And can you graduate? So let's say, can you start with, let's say, a starter club like a 5K or a 10K and then work your way through the different clubs as you change your objectives, if you change your objectives?
Absolutely. We have living proof right here. Right? In fact, her dad has been out there biking and running by himself forever. And no matter what we say, he won't run with us.
Really?
She has somehow done it. So thank
Wow.
you. Thank you for that.
How did you convince your dad to join a club? If your dad is not in a club, how did you convince him that you want to be in a club?
I just made him come on one of the Tuesday mornings. Right?
You made him come?
Yeah.
Wow. And what made you sort of, because you'd seen these clubs running, right?
No, you know the race director, Shoaib Nizami, he added us to the group.
Okay, he added you to the group.
Yeah.
And so you then pushed your dad to come to one of the
Yeah.
running events. Amazing.
Yeah,
And-
her dad shows up at every race. For years, I've seen him in races. I'll see him all the time, but he won't train with people. So that difference is what,
Right.
that little switch makes a big difference. And because of him,
Right.
now you got 3, 4 other people.
Right.
I know 6 other people that are running with these guys because Habib is there.
Is there an age-based difference also? You were, I think, the youngest distance runner I've met so far. All the people in all of the recordings we're doing are, let's say, in their 30s and above. You are, how old are you?
21.
You're 21. You're the youngest one I've met who's doing 21. Are other kids your age in college also with the same ambition of running as you?
No, none of my friends are into exercising.
They're not into exercising. Wow. So no one. And is you being into this sort of triggering interest in them as to why you're doing this?
No, I wouldn't say.
You wouldn't say that. They're happy with their Instagram and their TikTok and chilling on the
Yeah.
couch. Interesting. So that's why for you the community is important. Because your school community is not involved in this.
Yeah.
So you need a different community to keep you motivated and going, and that's what the running community gives you.
Yeah.
Interesting. How do you see these communities evolve? Let's say now we're doing a Karachi marathon, right? I'm going to do an entire episode on just the actual marathon itself. Do you see national level competitions happening? City level, national level? Because I haven't seen that yet. Like an Islamabad marathon or Karachi's club runs with the Islamabad club or Lahore's club. I don't know. Lahore, I don't think we should run. It's just way too much smog out there. But what do you guys see this headed in terms of the future of the
If I'm being
clubs?
very honest, the problem is, if we were told, so for instance, if you take our club, we have a half marathon next week, right? That distance, you can do more with it. You can play around with it, you can invite more people, it's not as intimidating. The marathon, it's tough to see it grow so much.
Right.
It'll be, I think this year, in fact next year, Karachi and Lahore both have one, right? May that tradition continue. But are we going to see huge thousands? Not anytime soon. I think it will take some time to get there. You always have a more competitive, it goes to training, right? If I have to train for a marathon, I've got to do 5 to 6 days a week. I can't get away with 3 days a week. Half Ironman is not different, right? You just can't do it. So to get that level of competition at a national, you're talking about a lot of people getting out there and training. I don't think it's there yet. I think what we've always done is we focused on a more competitive distance. Then that attracts more people. So in the half marathon, yeah. I mean, for Berlin, what Miguel was talking to, we had people flying in for the weekend just to run a long run with us on the weekend because they couldn't get people to run long distances with them in Islamabad. They would fly in on a Thursday, run 30-33 with us, and then fly back Sunday. That's very rare. Where for a half marathon or 15K, 10K, you'll get a lot more of that. So I think this is what we've learned the hard way as well. Is
Right.
Keep the distance small, keep it challenging, then you create more competition, you create that.
But I think the running community is developing like exponentially. So maybe in a couple of years we'll be there. Like there are robust running clubs in Islamabad and Lahore and in Karachi, and they're all they're growing, and over time it'll just get bigger and bigger. We're already Karachi Marathon is going to be probably the biggest sort of running race that we've had in Pakistan.
How many registered so far?
I think when I was hearing Shoaib say we've got about 200-300 that are willing to do the long distance.
The full. That's a big
Well,
one.
Special Olympics. Special Olympics has 500 people. 150 do the half marathon. So that's not even that's a charity event. It's not a race.
And how many?
Now, if we get to 200-300 people, I think last year it was maybe 60-70. So you look at the
growth is there, right? The growth is there. But I think what we are doing a very good job of is saying, okay, this is this city, this is this race, let's make it better and better and better and better. Grow it, and then focus on maybe another city having one just as good, right? Because it's a lot of work. Right?
Is it hard to manage a club, or is it just very simple? Create a WhatsApp group, throw everyone in there. You're managing or operating sort of one of the clubs. Like, is the community management aspect of it difficult?
It is. It's easy in the sense that the people that are already in the club. Where you have to be careful is the people that have joined the club. Are they actually active, right? And then if they're not active, stay on top of why, right? Because what happens is 10 of us may put in a lot of effort and the next 20 aren't. And it comes to a point where you're thinking, well, I don't get it. Why are they not doing it and I am? And if everybody isn't going towards, let's say, a race or an event, you do start getting that disconnect. So the problem with any community, right, this is not about Pakistan. This could be anywhere, right? I've been part of New York Roadrunners, in Chicago with Fleet Feet. Anywhere you go, you create those subgroups. And you don't want that. You don't want, for instance, you're running on a Friday and 5 guys you know from your own club are running and you're thinking, wait, why didn't I get an invite to run with them? Why am I running by myself? So that coordination is the only hard part. The good thing about any running, and I'm sure any running club will say this, right? The conversations I've had, there's a lot of positivity in the sport, right? I mean, look at her dad. There's so much positivity in the sport that you're not ever going to really lose out, right? You're waking up early, you're running in the evening. It's a good thing. It's something that's good for you. It's just enhanced, your experience is enhanced when you get to share it with other people. So the only thing that's difficult about running a running club is just making sure that people are a bit more coordinated. Otherwise, other than that, I'm telling you, there is not much to do. That's it. Once in a while, getting people organized, people get into it. They do.
What's your view on keeping people within the group versus not within the group if they're not showing regular participation?
Yeah, it's always good to ask why that is. Sometimes they've joined because their dad's in the group, or they've joined because their friends are in the group, and they realize, okay, this is not for me. But you don't want to remove yourself from the group because at the end of the day, we live in a small community. Those same people will see each other at the gym or a school pickup. You don't want to have that awkward conversation, right? So the only thing that I try to do is manage to see why some people are not in attendance, right? Traveling, injuries, makes sense. Losing interest or just really not into it, and I thought I was, is very different, right? So you want to save that person the embarrassment, so you kind of do it for them. That's the only tricky part, but it's very rare. It's very rare.
What about, I want to ask you something, Amal. In this community running, did you ever find a difficult moment while you were running? And how did the community help you get through a difficult moment?
Like sometimes in the Saturday long runs, I get very tired and feel like giving up. But then they motivate me to continue, like Ali Hassan or Ali Heather.
How did they motivate you?
They just say, continue, you can do it. And they run with me on a slower pace.
So why do you listen to them?
Because I'm determined to continue.
You're determined to continue. Very good. And what made you decide that this is something you want to do?
Because I started in 2021 and I was running with Naseem Hamid. She's known as the fastest woman in Pakistan. She was training me. So
And that's what made you start.
Yeah.
And when you were being trained by her, how did it make you feel?
I was inspired by her also.
Okay. And that inspiration, how do you channel that inspiration as you're working through your training on a weekly basis? Because it's hard keeping yourself motivated. It's hard doing the work. It's hard going to bed on time, waking up so early. You know, how do you keep that?
I've always slept early, so that's not difficult for me.
So, okay, that's the big easy one then for you.
Yeah.
That's the hard one for all of us.
Hard one for most people.
Literally, that's the hardest thing to do. So what time do you sleep?
I've always slept by 10:30 latest.
Okay, so then you can wake up early.
I've always woken up early. I'm an early bird person.
Okay, good. So that part is easy.
Yeah.
And then and what about on the nutrition side? Do you get support from the community in terms of how to think about what to eat, how to think about what kind of exercises to do?
Well, Coach Faisal made me start eating eggs. I wasn't eating eggs.
You were not eating eggs before? You never ate eggs before?
No.
Never? So when did you start eating eggs?
Since August.
Wow, he just told us on the earlier episode he eats 18 eggs a day. Are you eating 18 eggs a day?
No, 2 eggs.
Okay, you've started with 2. Okay, good. I think that's still more manageable. And how is the experience eating eggs?
Now I'm sick of it. But
You're sick of it. So what do you think you'll replace it with? Do you drink whey protein to build the muscle as well so that you can run?
No, I don't eat any of this.
You don't eat any of this. Otherwise your diet and nutrition is the same as it has always been?
Yeah, I'm just eating more fruit also.
You're eating more fruit also. Okay, good. So what I understand is the community has helped motivate you when you get demotivated.
Yeah.
It was someone within the community that inspired you to run in the first place. And it was someone in the community that helped you add a new type of food that you never ate before.
Yeah.
So without the community, you would not have been a runner.
Yeah.
True? That's amazing that what a community can do. Do you think you would want to try different sports that have a community angle like cycling?
I used to cycle also with my dad.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Your dad's a very active guy, it sounds like.
Yeah.
Good. So you're following in his footsteps in a way.
Yeah, I would say our whole family is mostly active.
Okay. So you want to participate in that as a family as well.
Yeah.
Okay. So there is that sense of community. It's the family community plus the support of the people who are doing it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Would you want people your age to participate in activities like this? Because it sounds like none of them do.
Yeah, but they won't do it.
Why not?
I don't know. I know my uni friends won't come.
If they got the same taste of community that you did, do you think that they wouldn't like it?
No, they live a bit far also.
Okay, so distance makes a big difference. Okay. But there's, I think, clubs that they can join on the other side of town that they might be able to participate with.
Yeah, but I don't think.
You can be the champion of that cause. Okay, so interesting. So on the community side, where I would say the question is the next 5 years. How do you keep the interest alive in this when paddle seems to have exploded onto the scene?
Talk to him now.
Right?
No.
Like, I mean, it's taken over everyone's lives. People who never even picked up a sport in their life are playing paddle. So how do you keep marathon or even running? Forget marathon, 5Ks, 10Ks. How do you keep it alive with paddle and the paddle community having taken the city by storm?
But I don't think it has to be one or the other. I think people have various...
But it's your time. You only have one unit of time available that you will swap.
I do, and so now I'm choosing both of them.
Oh, so you are into paddle.
Yeah, so I did talk to him.
Oh,
Talk to me.
Yeah.
So how are you juggling that then?
I'm just doing a lot. That's doing a lot. So, like, I'll try to get my runs in the morning. I'll have an evening paddle match, but it'll be, you know, it's kind of like cross training. So even if I have my run program in, I might take one day to do something slightly different. So I might do paddle, I might do an indoor bike ride, or I might do something different, which is cross training.
Right.
And so that still eventually will help me with my goal of, you know, running better. So, so it's not, it doesn't have to be one or the other, as much as Adnan would like to stop us from you know, doing other stuff. But, you know, it is helpful. So I think people think that they can't do everything, but you can try. You can try to do a lot, and you may or may not be able to do it. But and then you find out where your interests lie.
Yeah.
But running is something that it's very easy. You don't need that group of 4 people to run with. You can run alone. You can run with people. You can, whereas with paddle, you need a court. You need people to play with and all of that. Running, there are no barriers actually. You can just step out of your house and start running. So it's one of the easiest forms of exercise, and it is not difficult. As much as people may think it's difficult, it's not difficult to get into.
Yeah.
But having a community is very, very helpful. Having friends, having a WhatsApp group, reading a message that, okay, I'm going for a run tomorrow morning. It's a huge motivation for you to say, okay, you know, I'll join you. I'll come out for a run. That's how I got into running in the first place, into cycling in the first place. It was through friends.
Right.
It was through the groups, and that's what kept me into it. When I don't have that group, when I don't have,
then it makes it harder.
It makes it much more difficult.
Do you find that the paddle community is a lot more social than the running community? What would you say is the difference between the two communities?
Well, I think with running, in terms of the community aspect, when you're on a run, you can actually be talking to people the entire time. It's probably the most social activity that you can do. Yeah.
I can barely breathe while I'm
It depends
running.
on the type of run. So you're not running your hard run every day.
Right.
The majority of our training, 80% of it is an easy run.
Yeah.
And during your easy run, the way that you pass the time is you chat with your friends, you catch up, and so it is a very social sport, even more than cycling. Because in cycling, you don't really have. You're riding with people. You might be in a group of 8 to 10 people, but you can't really talk. You're drafting, you're switching places and all of that. Paddle, is also a social social
Really
sport.
social, or smack
Yeah.
talk, making
There's
fun of each other.
a lot
you
of
know.
that, and after the game,
Yeah.
you're chatting and stuff like that. So they both have their community aspect.
Hmm.
I think they're both sort of social sports, and I would argue that they're both good to get into. So
So you're not in favor
No,
of
no, no.
that.
So the way I would say was that, let's take a step back here, right? CrossFit, tennis, cricket, T20, right? Paddle. The way I see it is just getting fitter and getting active. That table is growing. It's good for everyone. It's good for everyone, even the gym community, right? It's great for everyone. I'd rather have people playing paddle than doing nothing. Then there'll be people that play paddle that realize, okay, you know what, I'm playing paddle, but I want to run faster. Maybe I'll try running one day a week. So it goes both ways, right? So the way I see it, for instance, my son played paddle. He played 4 times. And I realized in watching him that I should really get him into tennis first and then paddle. So what I'm going to do is I put him into tennis academy and 2 days. And the other 2 days, just go play paddle with your friends. So it's almost like, like I have a gym. I don't run on my own treadmills. We have 12 treadmills. I do not run on my treadmills. But I use working out to make myself a better runner, right? So it's great. If we have 10 people playing paddle and 30 people running, and it becomes 30-30, that's still 20 more people who weren't doing anything before. And I think this is why Miguel and I have always enjoyed, I'm sure 65 people will now message me, I've always enjoyed triathlon more than running. So
Because of the variation.
yeah.
I just trained, so I wasn't able to do it, but I just spent 4 months training for a full Ironman. I wouldn't change a day. Amazing training, loved it. So different to marathon. Marathon training it's tough, right? Running isn't. Marathon training is tough. So if there are more people out there getting fitter and trying different things, it's always going to help and bleed into other sports. So I think it's great for everybody. I'm glad that paddle is getting bigger as opposed to snooker, because paddle will encourage. I mean, look at what Legends has done. Paddle may be going on. Look at how many people are walking around. It's fantastic, right? It's fantastic.
So I think what you're trying to say, I think for me that this is a very important takeaway. It is the communities around active lifestyles that are growing around us, right? And the active lifestyle community previously might have been some people playing cricket, groups on
Golf,
Saturdays, some people playing golf,
some
people playing tennis. Tennis is a smaller sport, but what activities like, let's say, cycling, running, and paddle have done is aggregated large groups at the same time, right? And this aggregation of groups will have people being more active. And the minute they're active in one area and they feel comfortable pushing their body and their mind, they might say, hey, let's try this.
Yes.
Or hey, let's try this. So maybe paddle to running to swimming, swimming to cycling, and you build around this. So having communities around active living actually is good for all of the individual sports. It's not a matter of I'm pulling more people from one and putting them in the other, because people also need variation in their lives, right?
Absolutely. It is. The variation helps. It does get boring. It just does, right? It gets boring. And if you don't run with other people, if you don't have different kinds of runs, it's still just running.
Yeah.
Right? Now you've got biking, swimming, tennis, and paddle.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal what's happening. I mean, in the 10 years I've been here, the choices are
crazy.
unlimited.
Unbelievable.
Before it was, okay, I'm a member at maybe Karachi Gymkhana, then I have an option to do many things. Otherwise, it's go here on a Monday for this, go here on a Tuesday. Like the club the cycling club that Miguel and I were part of, you really could only bike on a Sunday. The big day was Sunday. If you don't make that Sunday,
you lost the week.
Then you lost the week. So that's not the case.
Now, that's a very good point. Now, every day of the week, there is some activity that you can do that has a community with it. Right?
So like 4 people ask me, who's Amal and who's her dad? And I said, well, you may not know their names, but that father and daughter that you see running, and that's it. I didn't have to say anything else.
Right.
Because they are the father and daughter running
Right.
every Saturday with us.
Right.
And we have 60 people in the group. No one had to ask again
Right.
who they were.
Right.
That's what we're all striving for.
Right.
You
Right.
know?
That's amazing. That sense of
like, I never
camaraderie.
understood what the word inspiration means.
Yeah.
It's not some like Superman, Iron Man type thing. It's just like what he said. Somebody does it, and you think I can do it too.
Yes.
That's all it takes.
Amazing.
It's not about the weight loss
Yeah.
and the fitness and it's the not doing to starting to doing more. Doesn't matter what sport it is.
So Amal, my last question will be for you. What is the sport with a community that you would want to consider next after running?
I
Paddle?
play basketball at home.
You play basketball at home? Okay. Is there a community around basketball?
Yes.
Oh, there is?
Basketball and volleyball.
I remember there used to be one at KMC back in the day.
There are so Amal, there's actually a couple of very big houses that are being converted into basketball.
Oh wow.
My gym, we sponsor one of the courts. It's a
So there's a big community.
Yeah, it's a considerably successful community, men and women.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I did not know that. And volleyball. Volleyball is
Volleyball too.
that's every Ramzan that
Yeah.
happens.
But it's
But-
now there are schools that lease
Yeah.
out their courts in the evening. These guys play till 1 or 2 in the morning. It's there.
So this is amazing. For me, this is such a great takeaway, right? I think that learning that there are now communities mushrooming for every sport gives people the opportunity, regardless of where they live in the city, right? You can find a community, you can participate in a community, and you can then go from one community to another as you develop your skill level and ability. And I think to have that finally in our city is a blessing.
For sure. Yeah.
Thank you guys. Thank you for the time. Really enjoyed the conversation.
Thank you.
Amal, best of luck for you on your first half marathon. And I wish you a great run and a great time. And I will see you guys very soon, probably at the next run. I might just come join you for your half on Saturday. I've spent so much time talking about marathons. I'm all excited. I'm going to go for a run as soon as I'm done with this. But this was fun. And you guys have a great community. I wish you guys all the best with it. Keep it up.
Thank you.
And thank you all for tuning in. Please check out and look up the running communities online. You will find all types of communities. My favorite is the Seaview Running Club. Come run with them a couple of times and they will add you in. But all the communities are just as good and you should try it. Get active and you will love the new active lifestyle. Check out our 4th episode. After this one, we're going to talk about specifically the Karachi Marathon. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.